Jennifer knew how to please a man. She knew how to do her thing. Didn't want to get busted, so I was trying to think of my way out.
Tyrone and I ended up skipping dinner and went straight to dessert.
I undressed her, and she undressed me. I knew that it was wrong, but I wanted to go forward with it anyway. She was so attentive and so submissive.
Only thing I can say is that I'm fighting for my marriage to work, and now I have to fight for my life.
He went under my dress, and he started kissing me on my neck. It felt good to be with someone who wanted me and only me. This was the moment of truth. I knew I was going down a road that would probably be dangerous, but at that moment I didn't care.
I met Danyelle while driving home from work one day. Pulled up to the gas station. She was looking my way.
He walked over to my car and asked me how I was doing, and then we exchanged numbers. I was 18 and he was 26.
She was an attractive young lady. She was smiling.
Once me and Dujuan started dating, we would see each other every day.
At that time, my relationship with Danyelle was great. I wasn't in love with her at that time, but it was one of the better relationships that I had ever had.
I would get phone calls from other guys, and I didn't even want to entertain them. The only person I really wanted to talk to was Dujuan. It felt great. Dujuan was my first love.
I think it was 4 months into the relationship when I found out Danyelle was pregnant.
To find out that I was pregnant by the man that I loved, although it was scary, I was overly excited about it. He seemed to be just as happy as I was.
Once I found out I was going to be a father, I was nervous about it.
I was ready to get married right then and there. It would be my chance to give my child a home with two parents, something that I didn't have.
At that time, I was living in my own apartment, and Danyelle was living with her mom. I was not ready to be married, but my concerns was taking care of this child.
This was a great time of my life. I was extremely happy. Dujuan was happy. Everything was pretty much perfect. But about 3 months later, I hear a knock on the door. I opened the door, and there was a woman standing there. She looked angry. She had her arms folded. She told me that her name was Jennifer, and she asked me if Dujuan was my boyfriend. I told her yes, and she went on to tell me that he was her boyfriend as well, and she was pregnant. I felt very betrayed. I didn't want to hear anything else Jennifer had to say, so I shut the door in her face. I couldn't believe the man that I loved was having a baby with another woman. Later that night, I confronted Dujuan. I was really mad.
That I didn't want to get busted, so I was trying to think of my way out. But eventually I did tell Danyelle that I was having an affair with Jennifer.
I felt very betrayed when Dujuan finally confessed that he had indeed slept with this woman and created this child.
I've been dating Danyelle for about 2 weeks before I met Jennifer. Me and Danyelle, we were just dating. We weren't talking about marriage or being exclusive or anything like that. She was a nice-built young lady. My relationship with Jennifer was more sexual than my relationship with Danyelle. It was more of going to her house and having sex. Jennifer knew how to please a man. She knew how to take care of a guy. She knew how to do her thing. She knew how to take control. I I was dating both women at the same time, just trying to see who was going to be a better fit. The fact that I wasn't married to Danyelle played a big part in me dating Jennifer. Because I wasn't married, I could do what I wanted to do.
I felt so naive that I didn't pick up any clues. I didn't understand how Dujuan was involved with another woman without me knowing about it. I know Dujuan and I didn't live together, but we were together all the time.
Less than a month after Danyelle told me she was pregnant, Jennifer told me she was having my baby too. I wasn't torn between Jennifer and Danyelle, but I just knew I had to break things off with Jennifer because I realized that I was in love with Danyelle and that's who I wanted to be with. I was upset that Jennifer had talked to Danyelle before I did because Jennifer didn't say anything to me.
I immediately started crying and I started yelling at him, asking him why he lied and why he couldn't tell me the truth. He told me that he was sorry and he did want to move forward. I told him that he needed to leave.
I have no other choice but to leave. I went home. I left and went back to my apartment.
I closed the door behind him and started bawling. I was completely devastated. Why should I believe him? Why should I even trust him?
It was very hard to see Danyelle hurt by what I did. I mean, she was having my child, and, I cared about her.
After finding out about Jennifer, I felt that my options were very slim. I was very afraid at the thought of raising my child on my own.
I had to cut things off with Jennifer. I was clear with Jennifer that our relationship was over, but that I was still keeping contact with her for the relationship of our child. But my heart belonged to Danyelle, and I wanted to focus on building my future with her. I was ready for me and Danyelle to be a family and move in together, but I didn't know how she was feeling about it.
I thought I can either stick it out, suck it up, and deal with it, or go my separate ways and be a single parent by myself. But I knew being a single parent was hard, and not only on the parent, but it's hard on the child as well. I decided to give Dujuan another chance because we were having a child together, and I loved him, and he was an all-around good person.
Danyelle decided to stay with Dujuan even after she found out that he was cheating with Jennifer partially because of her background. She grew up in a family without a father. Coming from a single-family home, Danyelle really envisioned a family to be, a mom and a dad and the baby, and that's what she hoped to provide.
Dujuan and I made a good team when it came to our son.
Once me and Danyelle moved in together and my son arrived, my priority was taking care of the family. I was working 3 jobs at this time.
Dujuan was an awesome father. He made sure we had the things that we needed, and we tried to fix the relationship, and we tried to move forward. But I still had ill feelings about finding out about Jennifer. I was not able to let go of the betrayal.
The communication between me and Danyelle changed because she was always suspicious of where I was and what I was doing. When I would go check on my son with Jennifer, Danyelle would always accuse me of cheating again.
Thinking about Dujuan seeing Jennifer made me uncomfortable because I didn't know what would happen between them, if he would decide to have sex with her again.
I was working 3 jobs. I didn't even have time to cheat. 22 hours a day trying to get my new business off the ground and take care of my family.
The constant accusations of cheating when somebody isn't cheating do a lot of harm to a relationship, especially when there has been infidelity in the past. It undermines all of the trust that they have in that relationship.
I knew I was pushing him away, but at that moment, I didn't care. I was paranoid because I didn't trust him.
Things between me and Danyelle were very intense. Danyelle's paranoia drove a wedge between our relationship. But, you know, I loved her and I cared about her, so I stuck in there. I was hoping that it was a phase that Danyelle would get over.
A few weeks later, I met Tyrone while I was shopping. I was immediately attracted to Tyrone. Tyrone and I exchanged numbers and gave him a little smile, turned around and walked away. I actually switched away. When exchanging numbers with Tyrone, I knew I was going down a road that would probably be dangerous, but at that moment I didn't care.
Danyelle's mistrust of Dujuan made her very vulnerable to finding comfort elsewhere outside of their relationship.
The very next day, Tyrone and I immediately started talking on the phone. We would pretty much talk every day. He was very attentive, he listened to me, he was caring, and he showed that affection that I wanted. A few weeks later, Tyrone called me and asked me if I wanted to go to dinner with him. I agreed, and we made plans that I would meet him at his house.
When Danyelle told me that she had to work late, I wasn't suspicious because I trusted Danyelle. I didn't have a reason not to.
I felt that since me and Dujuan wasn't married yet, that I honestly wasn't doing anything wrong. So me meeting up with Tyrone didn't seem like a bad idea. I decided to wear some sexy lingerie under my clothes just in case something would go down. I went to Tyrone's house. Tyrone and I ended up skipping dinner and went straight to dessert. He asked me if this was something that I wanted to do. I told him that it was okay to move forward, and we began to have sex. He came and started kissing me. He lifted up my dress, and we slowly started to have intercourse. I was relaxed. I trusted him. He was very attentive and affectionate. He was focused on pleasing me. After having sex with Tyrone, I did feel bad, but at that moment, I didn't care. My only concern was my feelings. Dujuan and I were not married, and besides, he had cheated on me.
There is no difference in cheating whether you're dating or married. If you're in a committed relationship, you're in a committed relationship, and people should treat it seriously.
Over the next 3 months, Tyrone and I would meet up every day to have sex, and Dujuan had no idea of what was going on. I was very happy when I was around Tyrone. It was refreshing not to have to argue with someone.
I started getting suspicious when Danyelle started changing her routine. All of a sudden, Danyelle started going out more, started going over to her friend's house, and that wasn't normal.
Tyrone was a good lover. Tyrone was so attentive. It felt good to be with someone who wanted me and only me. I never had to question him being with another woman or cheating on me. I didn't take precautions to hide the affair from Dujuan because I didn't think that he cared enough to even try to find out if I was having an affair or not.
A few weeks later, I seen my truck over at this apartment complex. I was suspicious, so I turned to the parking lot, and I sat there and waited. I'd been waiting out there for about 45 minutes. And once she came out, she was with this guy. And, you know, they were kissing and saying their goodbyes. When I saw Danyelle kissing another man, I was mad, It's very hard to see the mother of your child with another man.
Later on that night, Dujuan came home, and he confronted me about being at Tyrone's house. I lied and said that wasn't true.
I told her, yeah, I seen my truck early, and I seen you come out this apartment complex.
And he told me that he saw me, that he was sitting in front of his house when I came out. And that's when I knew that I had to confess to my affair.
I was pissed off.
Right then and there, he told me to call him. He said, call him and break it off. I called Tyrone and handed the phone to Dujuan. Dujuan started screaming at Tyrone, telling him to leave his family alone.
When Tyrone tried to tell me that him and Danyelle were just friends, I wasn't trying to hear it, and I hung up the telephone. I was just mad. I ain't had nothing to say. I knew she was cheating. I mean, there ain't nothing she could tell me at that point in time. So I started packing.
Dujuan stormed into our closet, started pulling bags down, tearing his clothes off hangers, putting them into the bag. I realized that the man that I love and the father of my child was about to walk out the door, and there was nothing that I can say. Dujuan stormed into our closet, started pulling bags down, tearing his clothes off hangers. The man that I love and the father of my child was about to walk out the door, and there was nothing that I can say.
I felt like a fool. I felt like she blamed me. I thought that we were building a life together and that we had gotten past all of my issues, and here she is cheating.
Tyrone and I's affair was pretty much over immediately. I never talked to him anymore after that. I knew I wanted to work it out with Dujuan, but I knew that we needed space. I didn't know how to move forward.
When me and Danyelle started talking, it was arguments. It wasn't conversation.
We was always blaming each other for our relationship being in the shambles.
The big topic was her cheating. I couldn't get over it. I didn't know whether our relationship could survive 2 affairs, but it was important for us to work on our relationship for the sake of our son.
When Dujuan suggested therapy, I was open to it.
The fact that Dujuan and Danyelle got pregnant so early really defined their relationship before they had a chance to define it for themselves. And it was going to take a lot for them to repair it.
Therapy was difficult, but it was the only way we could communicate without arguing.
I could ask Danyelle all the questions I wanted, but it was hard to hear her answer sometimes.
Dujuan kept the secret about Jennifer from Danyelle, and Danyelle kept the secret about Tyrone from Dujuan. And those secrets that they kept from each other really kept them from building the communication and trust that they needed for their relationship to progress.
I learned in therapy that I needed to give Dujuan the benefit of the doubt. Dujuan had changed, but I didn't realize it.
I wasn't sure what was gonna happen with our relationship, but I was thinking about the things that I had done, and it was hard to process, but I still didn't know whether I wanted to be with her or not. Danyelle was actually sleeping, and I put the ring on the nightstand, and I woke her up, and I asked her to marry me.
When he proposed, I immediately said yes.
Danyelle and I have 3 beautiful children. Things have changed since we've been dealing with our issues.
I'm not paranoid anymore in our relationship.
It feels good to have trust restored in a relationship. I'm glad that she stuck in this, and that even though we've had problems, she's decided to work through those problems so we could become a family.
I appreciate you and all the changes that you've made and the sacrifice that you've made for me and this family.
Danyelle, I love you.
She was willing to do anything that I wanted her to do sexually. It was almost like a fantasy, but it was unreal. She was giving me everything that I felt that I wasn't getting at home. When I met Shawn, I was 44 and she was 34.
Albert was nice and good looking. I could tell he had a kind spirit.
Shawn was very personable, very lively, bubbly. It was pretty much almost like love at first sight. We were soulmates.
What made me fall in love with Albert is his commitment. And I do have a daughter from a previous relationship. Her name is Demetria.
Her daughter was just really, really special. I mean, I fell in love with her from the beginning as well.
After a year of dating, Albert and I were married the spring of 2006.
We decided to build a new home from the ground up, so it was a very exciting time.
At the time that we actually purchased our home, I had 2 rental properties.
But there were issues that came along with that, mostly because tenants weren't paying, and she ultimately was stuck with paying 2 mortgages.
When I filed for bankruptcy, it was an extremely hard decision to make, but I knew that I didn't have any other option. It was so overwhelmingly stressful that I shut down.
She would want to stay at home. She would, want to stay in bed most of the day. We went from, making love 3 or 4 times a week to maybe once every 2 weeks, if that. I felt rejected. I felt deprived. I felt like our marriage wasn't whole. And so it was a difficult time for me.
Albert tried to talk to me about our intimacy, but I didn't feel sexy. I felt extremely disconnected.
So while Shawn and I was going through this difficult time in our marriage, I got into coaching Demetria's softball team, which helped me escape some of the things that I was dealing with at home. I first met Renee after practice one day. Renee was the mother of one of the other girls on the softball team. She was very friendly, and she was also very attractive. She instantly struck up a conversation. Renee was married also, and she was going through difficulties in her marriage herself. We started to communicate more and more. She was showing me attention that I wasn't getting from home. I would look forward to talking to Renee on a daily basis, 2 or 3 times a day, especially during the workday.
I knew that things hadn't been 100%, but, not every couple is perfect, and neither were we, and it was just a trying time for us. But I thought our marriage was solid.
Probably about a month or 2 after we started having conversations, we decided that we would take it a step further. Renee and I set up to meet at a hotel. I knew that it was wrong, but I wanted to go forward with it anyway because I was feeling something that I hadn't felt in a long time. Because things were still not the way that they were supposed to be at home, this was a need that I felt had to be fulfilled. When she opened the door, she looked very, very attractive, very sexy. And at that point, we started to kiss. I undressed her, and she undressed me. Renee made me feel special. She made me feel like a complete man. The sex was very, very passionate. The whole time, I had thoughts of like, oh my God, what are you doing? Why am I risking this and jeopardizing what I have? And I knew it was wrong, and all I was thinking about was that this could never get back to Shawn. The sex between Renee and I was very passionate. She made me feel some things that I hadn't felt in a while. Afterwards, I immediately started thinking about what it is that I had just done. Why am I jeopardizing what I have?
When Albert came home from his trip, I didn't notice anything different about him. I didn't have any issues with trusting him because that's the relationship that we built.
The guilt upon seeing Shawn was overwhelming. I was struggling mentally with the fact that despite the issues that we were having, that I even allowed something like that to happen. Now that they get that far, I just wanted to forget about it.
Many times when we find a pleasure in something, it's hard to break away from that pleasure. Even though Albert knew the consequences of his decision, the pleasure outweighed the pain.
After that first encounter, I think Renee and I got together again maybe about 2 or 3 weeks later. She was giving me everything that I felt that I wasn't getting at home because of what Shawn was going through. The sex was something that was very passionate. I guess the taboo of cheating and going outside the marriage had something to do with it. It was almost like a fantasy. It was unreal. Over the next few months, we would go to greater lengths to see each other, and I often traveled on my job, and she would, on occasions, travel with me or meet me when I went out of town on business.
One day, I was going through the mail and saw the cell phone bill. I noticed that the bill was rather thick. The same number kept appearing over and over again. I was very confused as to who he's talking to and why he's talking to them so frequently.
When Shawn called me and told me that she had got a hold of my cell phone bill, my heart just fell to the bottom of my stomach. I mean, I was in shock. I guess I just tried to dismiss it as a concerned parent on the team, but I could tell that she didn't believe me. And I knew that it was only a matter of time before she really figured out who that person was and what was going on. When Shawn called me and told me that she had got a hold of my cell phone bill, my heart just fell to the bottom of my stomach. I mean, I was in shock, and I knew that it was only a matter of time before she really figured out what was going on.
I called the number on the phone bill because I felt that was the only way I can get to the bottom of this. When I heard a woman answer, my stomach and my heart dropped. I was immediately angry. I told her who I was, and she was silent for a minute there. And her response shortly after that was, I was expecting this call. I asked her, what is the substance of your relationship with my husband? And her exact words were, I don't want to get too explicit, but we're in a relationship. And I've gone on several trips with him and spent the night with him in the hotel. I was in shock. I think I probably had an immediate anxiety, panic attack because I was so hurt and really couldn't control my emotions.
When I got home, Shawn told me that she had called Renee and that Renee had told her everything. I was just a complete wreck. I couldn't think straight. I had just hurt her in a way that I never ever wanted to. During this time, I promised that I would not see Renee anymore. I would completely cut off all communication with her.
Albert assured me that it was nothing and it was over, and he was sorry, and he was going to do everything that he could to make it up to me and to assure me that it was over.
I was trying any and everything I could to satisfy her, to keep her from leaving me.
When Albert told me that there were no emotions attached and the affair was over, I believed him. I honestly thought it was just a fling. I wanted to believe him. I wanted us to work.
I was very relieved that Shawn was going to let me stay and that she had agreed to work on our marriage.
When I first learned I had breast cancer, I can't even begin to describe what that feels like. I don't think there are any words that I could put into that feeling. Only thing I could say is that I'm fighting for my marriage to work, and now I have to fight for my life.
I realized that I needed to be strong for Shawn, and she was going to need me to be strong and to be optimistic and hopeful. My whole thought was just to be with Shawn and to help her get through this.
My recommended treatment after I had the lumpectomy was chemotherapy as well as radiation.
I was very involved with helping Shawn through her treatment once she started. Anytime she had to go to the hospital for treatment, a doctor visit, whatever, I was there. On the outside, I was being strong and supportive for the family and for Shawn, but on the inside, I was a total wreck. There was such amount of stress and anxiety and guilt. I didn't really have anybody that I could really open up and talk to about it. Emotionally, it was taking its toll on me. I had cut out contact with Renee, but then I found myself communicating with her again. I knew internally I wanted to stay with Shawn and stay with my family, but I also knew that those emotional and physical attachments I had with Renee hadn't completely subsided.
As human beings, when we are in a pressure situation, we will find some way of bringing relief. And I believe with Albert, that extramarital affair was a way of escape for him. It was a way of not dealing with the issues of his life and of his family.
While I was with Renee, I was really caught up in the moment. I tried to just block everything else out of my mind and just deal with what I was doing. I let my physical need and my selfishness overtake any of those thoughts that I was having about what I was doing. Having feelings for a woman outside of your marriage is complex enough. To throw on top of that, your wife is dealing with an illness that could be fatal, makes it even more complex beyond words.
One night we were home and his phone went off, and I, of course, looked at it and saw that it was a text message from Renee asking when they were going to see each other again. My gut reaction when I saw that text was this thing was never over. And I couldn't believe that he was still having this affair, knowing what I was going through with my health. It was like I was in a nightmare. I asked Albert if he loved her, and there was a very long pause.
And I couldn't answer her. I didn't want to say yes, and I didn't want to say no. She asked me if I had feelings for this woman, if I loved her, and I couldn't answer her. When I didn't answer her, that was all the answer that she needed.
And at that point, I took my rings off and said, I'm done. I decided to move out with my daughter because the environment was so toxic, and it was hard to rest and to heal.
I realized that I wasn't dealing in reality. I thought about everything that I had did and how much I hurt her. That's when reality really started to hit me upside the head. I agreed to give her the divorce, not because I wanted it, because I think I owed it to her to give her what she wanted to be happy after what I did.
I felt like, okay, all the hurt and pain that I had felt over the last months were over, and I could really start a fresh life, cancer-free, healthy, without Albert, and I was ready to do that. I pretty much had a clean bill of health. I felt good. I started to get back to my old self.
When my divorce became finalized, I was totally gone. I just felt like I was such a failure. What I realized quickly is that the connection I had with Renee was strictly physical and nothing else. I told Renee that it was over. She was very angry and upset, but she would eventually move on.
He realized that once again, he was trying to fulfill a void in his life. There was different attributes that Shawn possessed that nobody else could fulfill in Albert's life.
I started to pursue Shawn again because I never stopped loving her, and in my heart, I knew that's what I wanted. I wrote Shawn a letter because I really couldn't sit down and talk to her the way that I wanted to.
When I read the letter, I honestly felt like a big weight had been lifted because I felt as if he finally got it. He finally understood the hurt and the pain that he caused. I knew that in order for me to be completely healed, I needed to have some type of sincere closure. I knew that in order for us to do that, we needed to go to therapy. But I was extremely adamant that things were over between us because too much damage had been done.
My first impression of Albert was that he was dealing with a lot of guilt because of some decisions that he made.
I felt it was important for me to be completely open and honest with her so that we could move forward. I apologized repeatedly, and I tried to convince her to forgive me.
There are two things that you need in order to rebuild trust. You need time and you need consistency. Whenever there's consistency in behavior, it helps to rebuild trust in a relationship.
Just the fact that she was spending time with me was, at that time, all I really wanted and needed.
But I still felt a sense of betrayal after everything that he had done, everything that he knew he had done, and how bad he had hurt me. It was too much hurt, too much damage. After a year of therapy, Albert proposed.
She had no idea that I was going to ask her to marry me. I was nervous. I didn't know exactly what would happen.
I was completely shocked. He got down on one knee and said, "Will you marry me?" And I said, yes. And we got married that day. So engaged and married all in one day.
It feels great to be remarried again. We understand that this is for the long haul, and there's a commitment there and a certain confidence that we can get through anything.
I know that he really fought hard to win me back and to win his family back, that I don't think that he would do anything to jeopardize that, and so I'm able to trust him again.
I'm definitely looking forward to spending the rest of my life with you and growing wiser and being together.